Ghana this year, Mamina Joe UTV so any Ebraso or Mamoniam and Sama Babuano, Yerbedamo, say Cassie, Namekam, say Nimakubia Daroman, and in Samahodono, Bremo. Yerasada Emma, just the way chocolate drink. Do here and Usu share. Have a special ice, mineral water, Sanso, and a special drinks. Have a best point savings alone. And a best assurance. Oma Daroma, needing some no Ebremo, and some doors did him put to be in.
Said ya beya a remun sacha ye won hyehyeye a wode begu akwanu ebeko yenti Ghana ene Switzerland wo mo asensan entiase krata
Afegana mampani abedi eche Dr. Mamadou Baumia dia tuja chese e wo behia se Africa ma hodo a wo ano no ye bambo ye beyiri mu
Emrashe bedwani bi ade atu edwa se ehia se sika ene nneoma kadea ebetimi ama oman no project ahodo a wo ye akonkan no e wo se empanimfo eye ne intentem
Afegedefo eton ade e wo Kwame Nkrumah circle chese ye tuom nti aban enkamimo
Nyame adom a wo kyena mampanyi wone ensentwerefo ebehia na ye ne Ghanafo bia kasa senka wo mo na wo hɔ a ensem bɛyi ene omu bebisa mampanyi
enche na Kumasefo ye mumbenya meya foforo kra ne report e ba chese Ora Collins ousu amankwado ana ehwenim so no na ba be mayor e wo Kumase
ensem pika ho ne de bramo wo kasebo emimidin e de Akosua Sarpong mene
David Ofori Osafo
afa kasebo no emu ensem enie se yede ani ekire Jubilee House Ghana mampanyi ena afa so Switzerland wo mo soafo ha wono ena wo hwe energy nsem so wo hwe traffic nsem so ene asoya hodo a wo ye ho adwuma no wo mo atena se asensan krata ni nyina no eye wiemu nsakira ye ho hyehyeye a eno betimi aboa ama wono anya mfaso na Ghana nso enya mfaso
Your visit also for us, it was a very important moment. It was just before COVID crisis started really exploded, I have to say, but that we have this opportunity. And I think your visit, Mr. President, has also strengthened our relation. In the meantime, we have concluded a very important agreement on climate protection. It was really a work of pioneers. We are leaders worldwide with such an agreement that we want to reduce the CO2 emissions in your country. Switzerland makes the investment and we can count the reductions on our side. So we have the investments in your country and we can do more CO2 emission reductions in our country. We want to have that in a close cooperation with the private sector. So I know that for you, Mr. President, this is something very important, that it's not the state who has to do everything, but that you have also the inclusion of the private sector. This morning we had a meeting with several ministers of you and it was very fruitful, very constructive, and there are quite a lot of ideas now we have to implement this agreement on climate protection.
There's so many areas of our national life where we are strongly appreciative and indebted to your initiatives in education and in environmental discussions. We have this big commitment that we're hoping that by the end of the decade, our energy mix will be at least 10% of it will be in the area of renewable energy, and the cooperation that we're receiving from you in that area will go a long way. I think there's a lot of exploration of ideas and initiatives that I can foresee in this area, which will be very beneficial. But we continue to be very appreciative of the relationship with your country and with the companies that operate from your country. Some of them, there's a company, Transite. That's the name of the company. From Lausanne, yeah. It's an exciting initiative, and it's one we need. This city was, in my youth when we were growing up, was a city at the time of independence of 250,000 people. It was Accra, and with an infrastructure that supported a city of that size. Today it's 5 million and counting. So you can imagine the huge challenges that we have of infrastructure in several ways, water, electricity, and of course the road structure. So to have a company that's called Transitech that have come here to try and find a way of helping us control the urban space and its development. These are all very useful initiatives for us. But once again, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm happy to see you here, and I'm hoping that your trip to Ghana will be fruitful and that you'll enjoy your stay amongst us. So you're welcome, and you and the members of your delegation are all very, very welcome.
Ghana Mampeni Abidechi and His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Baumia Nopeni Akasadi Atuja Ache se humbe hiya se Africa ama hodo ayo eponano no ye bambo nsemo ye bayiri mu pa o de nsem we nyina atuja wo bra na wo bie the International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference ashase e wonkan no ano
na wonum ebie International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference 2021 no ano ewo nkran eho na Ghana mampani abedi akire Dr. Mahamudu Baumia kokasa ye wase na ode ba betu dwa se eho behia sa mama hodo ewo bibire mamu ha no mo mote ben po no wo mo ene aman hodo nka ye beka bomu na wo mo ahwe se wo mepre asomdwe ensem ede amo bibia na wo mo etimi apema konkan ewo na dwadie mu na fe ni bibiara wo pre ede amo man kam kromo esanse COVID-19 ba ye no ebeja wiase nyina so enti sentokwa eyi ti ewa ama bi so a manya ne se ebia obi ma so na eyi ne ti ebetimi akeka ba bebo esanse ye denara o ma bi ni o ma bi na bo hye na afi nso entokwa esi ewo yensuo sem so a ni nyina na bekwa akaka aba bekan enti etwa fata said ya ekoso Gulf of Guinea ene ne ekeka ka ho no wo mu nyina bekom ntum apama no na yetimi apre asomdwe ede ama obi bia.
As nations seek to readjust and realign themselves in respect of trade, development, and economic growth post-COVID-19, coastal states and even landlocked countries have a huge stake in dealing with matters governing maritime security. Reports indicate that a total of 79 actual and attempted attacks were carried out in 2020, representing a 34% increase compared to 59 attacks recorded in 2019. Similarly, there was a rise in the number of cases of kidnapping for ransom and hostage taking. For instance, in 22 separate attacks recorded in 2020, 130 out of 135 persons kidnapped globally were reportedly abducted in the Gulf of Guinea alone. This represents 95% of all kidnapping cases, with Nigeria recording 62, Benin 29, and Ghana 6. A more serious concern is the fact that criminals at sea are evading counter-piracy measures and have become even more emboldened, thereby scaling up the insecurity and threat profile of the Gulf of Guinea.
Eno hwe mampani abedi akire ekasa ya wo kire se o my Ghana ha no wo ba ha no mu a ye maritime sector no eno ene ye sika sem ne fa pempa enti etwa fata sede ye beye bia no bebo ho ban ama no otime wie peye e de abo man sika sem na pem na konkan.
I must say that for us in Ghana, the maritime sector is the pillar of our economy, as the ports serve as the gateway for over 80% of international trade. The maritime sector is a source of revenue to the state. Protecting the maritime domain of Ghana is therefore a fundamental agenda for our country, and rightly so for all countries in the Gulf of Guinea, for the 39 coastal African states, and indeed the rest of the world.
Said ye enyoma bo ekosro na ne bo no eye den no nam so ama Council of State Members womo edimika tente ekwakohia empanimfo a womo wo adwadie fanim said ye be ya wombetimi ate ase die nti a enyoma bo ehuri kwam ema ne bo eye den said ye be omanfo so eho ebeto wom.
said the Noma walk or shro, Shanty Council year to 2 moon after to found go walk on a costrono, and an Amso Emma Council of State, 1 moon penny 4, a cambo, mobile, and Nako Hunu, a ready 4, send a bay on Betty me, Ebisa almost said, Yaba de pan, and I echo so into a woman to near Memusano. Now, and no, and one much less and penny 4 would do any, one free guta, NPA, Market Association, Freight Forwarders, AGI, oil marketing companies, tourism and hospitality sector, and the Keka Kaho, woman in a cambo more a share ye and shemudi. Nanumu and a titrani at the Council of State, Nana Utio Serebo out of Sumino, say to near Memu Equosrosano, I know Mukrambo, no who do womo, and Nunsi and on Babajin, dear Fred Tom for and as a ready phone and chain, no more so who Afutia, Mudrocodiama Bino, Nabi Timiri pay the Abuagana for. It sounds a gun afford to do an annual to 2 and Yememusanoa, Ayana a dear how. Ebabeja wo mkonso
enya tigana ha enim se America krani ade obi aka ho asem se de maboyedi ni maboyedi yenso na ye wotumi se ebetu abaifo fa bibia ekoso Ghana ha bia ye intimi ntra ho se padi ntra fi ma se biamfo intimi ntra ho ma bibi obi aka ho asem enkoso na ansa na ebetu abaifo na wo mo a wo fa ho paa no e hu de ekoso na ye no mo adinkuta ho na wate asem na se na fe wo de to aban ni ma na hu kwa ya mefaso aka kire aban enti na ne ehia adwadifo omo de niema ba omo de ship ba omo tom petro omo sebe makola women omo nyina abahabi ama edidi abobo omo kanema esi kire ye de sigana ha omo ye ba ye nwiade na omo ama ye hu se yema esir piyo ha anye sabe Ghana anansa aban na eye na ye wiase yare boni ya ba beto besense komu na de we ni masei aba enso honsu sanso abeduru so ama ni ma ayedi kakra amaye
ya ni omo adwade adwumakuo mu ti se guta freight forwarders ene omo akeka ho hwehwe nkomo bisa wo mo se de enti na omo gidi se enoma bo kwa na ekosho wo mo akire mu se
pen lines no abu apayobi a omude ACCN ewotema port ho enye mrakwa mu ni na ya ka kire Council of State say uma adaruma omumwa yen na sesisire na ekoso wo monfa emra wukrum ya emfanya adwuma ubegye di say so shipping lines no wokọ no eni osisi bibi na wo dollars mu a ono a wo ni rate of the amount enye government rate no a by Bank of Ghana rate no Intina se edi ekro na yetimu se yentimi input omo under control.
Se nyama boye dia enye mokola woman na ama ni boye din enye mokola man na ama ni boye din but situation no dey sete no enu na ibasa na nso ya daneti se yesi obi ani hu nyefe no onu na obesua ni ama no intentema na obi asini nan isa the children so former say nyama boyedi enye na ya nyama boyedi.
And if you look on their invoices, it would amaze you the plethora of charges that they have. If you pick any invoice now from the shipping line, you have anything from the release charge, you have port additional fees, you have ISPS, you have security fees. These are things that they have already factored. Because if you look at the freight, they have even factored everything from currency adjustment. There's a currency adjustment factor even in the freight. So that if there's a fluctuation in currency, that has already been factored in. They have bunker adjustment factor. Everything is in there. But then they still come here. The worst part, if you could pick up an invoice and say, let's say you have 10 cars on one bill of lading. So if you say you are administering, it's just the release fee. Why would you charge per car on that one bill of lading? It is not right.
Na I'm say na saying COVID in some near the buy no. And money be prices now cost kakra. Cost of raw materials say are cost because a lot of the raw materials we import. When you are importing cost of freight no akosropa I don't know in other parts of the world, but those that are coming to Ghana and other places no shipping cost na kosropa. Now of course no cost are now sending in also be absorbed, then it means that you're going to produce and sell at a price lower than your cost of production, and no business can survive on that basis. And sending in account a price na cost.
Committee abayate se basabasa koso ewidwira no onye nhwemu emfa ho no wa hye odwumadi ase na ne General Officer the man commanding Central Command Brigadier General Joseph Apo ene kopie mo committee na nim hono pani kasiade atudwa achesa sojafo won an sheda se won tutu ekun obi na sansem we nyina no ye senior reporter e wasante mantam no Samson Kwame Nyameche kopie mo yinti amanebo a wode to ye ni
Nedei the Odika a Brigadier General Joseph Afo or no and General Officer Commanding Central Command of Ghana Armed Forces. Obe PMU ewo committee no anymore. Omobusebusa and somebody benese soja foa ye omo ediko edwano nim hubiana or jitumusa ampa no nim hubi.
I had a call from the chairman of RECSEC that the situation was getting out of control and that there was a need for us as Operation Calm Life, already were operating with the police to move inside and do something. If not, things will get out of control seriously. They went there and what they saw was bad. They were able to control the situation and that particular team stayed there up till 1 midnight. Then they came back, only down to hear that Monday they were about to bury the gentleman that had died. And then the civilian had massed up going to the cemetery. And particularly even we heard that there were tests at the police station. So quickly, Chairman of RECSEC said there was a need for us to intervene.
What operational gadget did you ask them to carry along?
There is SOP in the military with the patrol that they've been doing. It's an SOP. Our established equipment is SOP. Once you are moving to an area, you don't have to call the officer, take this, and he himself knows the equipment and then whatever he's supposed to go with.
And one of your rules of engagement is to use live bullets.
Yes.
Under what circumstance will the military use the live bullets on demonstrators?
When you give verbal warning, when you give warning shots, then within a particular place you see people firing back from the crowd. Certainly you'll have to use live weapons. Live ammunition.
Emna wode ne nsem ba awieye no na afi 4th Infantry Battalion I wo komase ya Lieutenant Kenneth Pepra ono so eneda no ono so be pie mu e wa bedwafo nanim a wo kire se.
So you see, the aim was not to kill. It was just unfortunate. If the aim was to kill, so we would have gotten not less than 100 people dying.
That's true.
It's just unfortunate. As a matter of fact, I even suspect the weapon that fired from the protesters might have hit one of them.
That's subject to investigation anyway.
Yes, because the soldiers started firing into the air. If you are not a professional and there's another rifle firing, you wouldn't know. And that is how come some people are saying that they were not handling weapons. When an M16 rifle fires, I know.
Yes.
When a G3 rifle fires, I know. But the ordinary civilian doesn't know. The media wouldn't know. All you hear is gunshots into the air. And it started when the soldiers came. So you assume that it's only soldiers who are firing. There is a procedure in dispersing crowd. The first is a verbal warning. The second is to cock your weapons to signal to the crowd that you are about to fire. The third is to fire warning shots. But the signal to scare them includes the kneeling, to aim for you to be scared and maybe disperse. As a matter of fact, the direction of the man who's knelt was said that no casualty came from that side. But he didn't fire. He didn't fire. He fired only warning shots. But when he went down, he didn't fire. In addition to that, kneeling is a position for firing. Sitting, kneeling, squatting, standing. One may adopt whichever one he finds comfortable with. So just taking a knee doesn't mean that you are doing something out of the ordinary. In times like this, they need to clarify from the military, because before you can remedy some of these harm, it would have gone haywire. As at now, no media personnel has spoken to me as the battalion commander, and they are out there saying all sort of things. So it is better if they consult for us to kind of, before they come out with the information, because at times it's very sensational and you get people say all manner of things which is not proper.
Emra aye Lieutenant Kenneth Pepra de na asem ebawie no otitune ni a oda committee na no appeal court judge his lordship George Kinsel Kumson efa so ekasa kire nzamtwerefo say
plead with the media when you come here and we are asking questions, it is not a case of we are criticizing the media. In any case, we have the right to criticize the media because the work of the media, part of it is to criticize whoever they want to criticize. But it appears you want to have the right to criticize, but nobody should criticize the media. That is not what we are doing here. So the media should not look at us as if we are out there to get to them. No.
Afeyen kwa humane so na yene yerasani adeb se yeka opanyini ya oye security expert onimbambo mu ensempa ensem yi ha esi ewo edrei ama mpanifo esi hunkonwa committee wo mu eye nhwehwemu no yene nini nkomo emfa ensem a wate ewo nasomdi ono so de nani ehunu ene sede esi ekopanye wotemenka ma joy
genius
yo wadaroma efri enra sede committee ni fiti ase ne toso edamienu esanse omo nefu amaako edu esese omo de yehwehwemu no anase omo de tie adansefo no asem enra wotie ye enenso megidi se watie enra yenim se onimanyafo Simon Osemensa ekoye sanso na multimedia nsentwironi wono so ekoye ede ne nsem kotudwa enne de yabo ama ahwefo ahwe no ebino no esanse ne police commander wa Santemantem koye na asojafo yi empanifo mienu ekoye City FM Centroni so koye na adra police commander so ekoye nti wadaroma de waso toto fom tietie sede ensem ne si ekono sen na uhuno
yo me dan say abi baako na the cut across especially by Bofono. There seems to be a conscious, deliberate attempt to deflect blame, no, to make it look like protesters, no, almost cross away. Police commander, he came with some picture, express some level of destruction perpetrated by protesters, no. In as much as it were violent, I mean, obviously, who witnessed protesters, there will be some, rowdy persons, but that notwithstanding, and with the end to me justify the use of life ammunition. And now there were a lot of discrepancy in Kasa or Mukawa Hodom, because according to a soldier for a total, best to be that bullets, best to me free. Protesters, no, because according to Omo, it looked like some protesters were armed. Omo Pisa police, Omo see, no, there was no gunfire from protesters. However, Omo actually found, with pump action. But you see, Linia, pump action, the ammunition, are very different from either M16, ana AR-15, ana G3 rifle. Usually pump, and you use pellets, cartridges, and within such cartridges there were pellets. So who bullets wound that? Over to me a car without even subjecting it to any analysis and any scientific experiment there. We every pump action and every rifle. So confusion no. There were some operational deficiencies. Aside that, under normal circumstances, as a regional minister, who now hears the chairperson of the Regional Security Council, so who are information, security, and by some who take decision and to say who for so baby, a lot goes into it. There were procedures. I would have expected information out of maybe every, let's say, okay, fine, every official sources, information no free. But by organizing immediate meeting, and by organizing a meeting, actually, move share or baby, even online, we will organizing meeting. But according to regional minister, no, or Accra, so organizing meeting. So, at the actually, the fact that that decision, not a personal decision, not respect decision. And as a public officer, whatever decision you make and action you take, maybe as a result of that action, you will be held responsible. Okay, so any decision, maybe he meant well, but it culminated into death. So I would have expected that only taking full responsibility, apologize, and perhaps resigning. Unfortunately, that is not what is happening. So, I mean, and only blame
wasam na wo kanona nti wo hwe animu senka regional minister koye no utie ne nsem no se de osi eyiyiye e de egu ho kire mpanimfo no a se ono eye chairman ema rexec e wo asante mantamu no utie ne nsem o kan ya o se ono ye panyin no radio stations bebre e na wotena a wo de ne number mpo etudwa se de be ye nkrofo be man information na utie na asem ni ye a o se ono etu anamon so ye chairman ema bambo adwuma tugu a wo asante mantem no na se de usi kan senka anko wonpa chaw na on resign no na anamon no otu ye nti ana se de wadaro masan kire mu bio mayenhwe.
All right. You see, me a security analyst, okay? If you are nipa people almost friendly, so maybe alavanyo kunya omu wantapa, two sides na almost friendly with different information. The information will be bias towards almost side. It be more exaggerated, it be more complete lies, okay? So we rely on open source information from civilian sources. Usually, it is important to security protocols in a form of validating information our receiving. I don't know whether we understand it because in intelligence gathering, so for example, receiving information say, subject A or bank. So to you, people bank or but to an intelligence officer. A person or bank to engage in a terrorist activity and now to engage in robbery. You are an intelligence cycle from the mandating of the intelligence to gathering intelligence, breaking it down, analyze, remove the chaff from the solid information. After that, disseminate to the appropriate authorities, and there will a feedback mechanism. Okay, so. With me information, but without proper analysis, information no bogus. So
na obi so beka se wan kan kire anasa ofre bambofo no wan kan kire omo so omo nko no omo nko tututu ne mum o ka kire omo so omo nko hwe se de be ya hoye ene basabasa ye na ekoso wo ho no ano bebrase
na a twisted judgment. Because Ankawe police make me again. You were police for Omoko, Somalia, Darfur, hot places. Almost 3 years, Jumano. Rapid deployment force, how many formed police units, only are very well trained to handle situations like this. Situation is so bad to the extent to say, young friend are soldier for, and like I indicate, for example, they're moving from Akosua to Table to. If you move the water, back to as a result of that movement, you take responsibility. So what I say. So the action and culminate into self violence, he should therefore take responsibility for idea.
One say what here and some say the see regional minister no ono nya information no nanka yenim senka information de se bambofo ninya nanka ebi anka o ma frɛ regional minister no se ebi ono ye chairman no de na omo nye anamon be na omo ntu na emom we de ono no mom na nya information no instead of security for no anase bambofo no etu ono no nya ye no e na amana kwakoba se ne no esesesa na eye.
No, Mr. Chop is a German child.
Dear me be sana say, said dear, o chire mu no, say ono ne frɛ bambofo ne mpo, e ka chire wo mo say, adwira ho ne ho aye pitipiti. anase wono anya intelligence anase wonya information say mabunu no eboa wo mo ho na wo mo akoye basabasa anase wo mo akoye demonstration bi saa wo ho na wonyi ni se nka bambofo ni mom na sese wo mo frɛ regional minister no na wo mo ne no mpo aka ho asem se ono regional minister ni mom ene onya saa intelligence no ene ono so wokasa no so no ne source nso de yaka wo se enya de obetimi aka yesa na ayese one person obeti information bi abio.
Okay, mami chawari or receiving information say whatever decision it is to be taken, it should be a regional security council RECSEC decision. But one consulting there were various stakeholders at that decentralized level, no, but decided to base the action on information we're receiving, and you are right. Or see on they would not disclose, and it could also be right because next time more money information. Apart from that, we receiving information say usually RECSEC commission because there were intelligence officers, National Intelligence Bureau officers, every single metropolitan, municipal, and district assembly area in Ghana, so that at least validate. Because some are winning, Ghanaians sometimes they pay exaggeration. So we bet me a friend, honorable Zungo Fono or Mukite. So meanwhile, for all you know, take time. All right. So you have to validate, okay, and it has to be according to the law. But on one consortium, yeah, and on the other hand, also, your police for. And yet, after na omube regional minister on the spot, to me make it certain decision without necessarily calling the political head. But at the same time, we keep them posted. So they should have been completely overwhelmed. Okay, because according to Asoja Fuano, police knew so they came to use some level of force. Police super me use that force no. And I'm trying to really. I'm use water cannons, tear gas, pepper spray, I didn't know your friend the temple, batons, any shields, last like only option here, and you are convinced based on empirical facts there, the action of protesters affected the security and our safety of officers and our innocent people around, then move it to me use life ammunition. But last resort, on this occasion, and videos where the will be all my information, videos almost drew one immediately they started firing. So last resort, I think the first resort, which I find quite unfortunate. I mean, let's accept it. I'm making mistakes today, and going into the future, I'm moving from these mistakes and correct it. However, that notwithstanding, still, I think justice is there, and
okay.
So a very restore some level of confidence back into the whole system, and hereby perform.
Yo, Mira Sani Adevi, beda se afei na mpanifo afiti ase ne ne toso edam yenu wo mo de ehwe ensem nim wo adwira. Ye da se beto aso, ye no beto aso adi nkomo yinim se de ensem no ba na oba fe ne nkrofo so eguso kase ye da se ne obre anwumre yi. Ye Rasani Adeb oye security and intelligence expert na ye ne no edi nkomo efa committee ampanifo aboye gina we so ye je aboafo nkrato aba.